The agora was the center of economic activity in ancient Athens. This is a reconstruction of what it looked like in the 5th century BC, with its many stalls and vendors. The architecture we're seeing here is a mix of classical and Hellenistic styles, so it dates from about 330 to 200 BC. This was the height of the Athenian Empire. I am going to walk through the market and point out some of the goods that would have been sold here. If you'd like to know more about the ancient Greeks, check out the series in the description. Let's begin. These round loaves of bread are called cup. They were probably made by a baker who had an outdoor oven like this one. These would have been eaten by the working class people of ancient Athens. Most likely these people ate their bread with olive oil and vinegar. Richer people would have had their bread baked in fancy shapes. Here we see a baker making those. The oven in this case is fueled by oil because wood was expensive and hard to come by in Attica. Here we have a fishmonger selling his fresh catch of the day. He might have gotten these fish from the nearby port of Piraeus. In the Aegean Sea, the most common fish you would have found would be sea bass. Sometimes the fishmongers would also sell shellfish. Over here we have a fruit and vegetable vendor. In the background we can see the temple of Hephaestus, which is dedicated to the god of blacksmiths. This temple dates from the 5th century BC and is the best preserved ancient Greek temple in Athens. It took 18 months to build. That may not sound like a long time, but keep in mind that construction only took place during the warm summer months, so really it took 2 full years to construct this temple. It was built without any mortar. Instead, the stones are held together by their shape and size. In between are some smaller stones that fill up the gaps. In front of the temple, we can see a woman carrying them. These are large jars used for transporting liquids such as wine. The handles make them easy to carry, even when they're stacked up high like this. A smaller version of this jar is called a hydra. It has 2 handles and was used to transport water. Here we see a man carrying one. He's also wearing a himation, which is a cloak commonly worn by men in ancient Greece. Women typically wore a peplus, which is similar to a long dress. These men are playing a game of dice. Gambling was popular in ancient Greece, but only the poor engaged in it. Dice games like this one were considered a form of entertainment for the massa. Wealthy Greeks preferred to gamble on chariot races. This man is drinking from a rhyton, which is a fancy cup used for pouring wine. Wine was popular in ancient Greece, and it was often served mixed with water. The ratio was usually 1:4, so 4 parts water to 1 part wine. Wine was imported to Athens from all over the Mediterranean. The most famous vineyards were located in the region of Thrace. These 2 men are about to board a ship. They're probably merchants who traveled all over the Mediterranean Sea trading goods. One of these merchants might own the ship. Back then, ships were expensive, so it's likely that a wealthy merchant would invest in one. Sailors like these would travel to Egypt for luxury goods such as ivory and incense. They would then sail north to the Black Sea and Crimea to pick up some slaves. Then they would head back to Athens, where they would sell their merchandise in the agora. One thing you should notice about this market is how narrow it is. All of these people are packed into a very small space. It was common for the Athenians to hold festivals in the agora. During these festivals, the streets would be even more crowded. Sometimes the Athenians would put on theatrical performances. They would build a temporary stage at one end of the street and then use the surrounding buildings as the backdrop. If we pan up, we can see a balcony overlooking the market. These were common in ancient Greek cities. People would stand on these balconies and watch the goings-on in the street below. They would also use them to get a better view of theatrical performances. These balconies were also used for communication. A man could stand on his balcony and yell into a courtyard, and the sound would echo off the marble walls, making his voice louder. As you can see, the market was the heart of ancient Athenian life. It wasn't just a place to buy and sell goods, it was a place to socialize, to watch performances, and to take part in festivals. If you'd like to learn more about ancient Greece, check out the series in the description. Thanks for watching.